Thank you, Dr. Shrif, for this enjoyable and insightful presentation. I couldn't imagine all this. It was my first time to hear about the terabytes thing and about the gravity of data breach and hacking. You explained that pretty well, along with the strategy and the main pillars developed by the government. The question here, what about Egypt's image? Now the strategy is perfect with the indicators, the pillars, and the strategic elements. It looks like an ideal. The blueprint is really good. We are grounding everything in the constitution, and this is important. And I'm one of the committee who drafted the constitution. That's why I hold this document dearly to my heart. The question now is, having an outsider's perspective, is that enough? Are there any gaps to be addressed before opening up the floor for questions? 15 minutes. Thank you so much for having me today. It gives me great pleasure and honor to be here among you. I would start with a real story. I would pass this cell phone around, have a look on that phone, and then I'll pose some questions after that in order to discuss the risks of that. This cell phone is used by three intelligence agencies in Gulf countries. This is a gift for Dr. Khaled. You can have it later, Dr. Khaled. This device had the three SIM cards, and it's very highly enabled with 2G, 3G, 4G. I'll start with comments from a scientific point of view in order to discuss the real risk of cyber space or cyber risks, and then I will talk about my own background. As for the acronyms and definitions, they are available everywhere, whether in the US or Eastern Europe. If we talk about cybersecurity in the business sector or in the national sector, we can define it as foreign attacks or external attacks, and this does not include internal attacks, and this accounts for 30%. The 70% comes from the internal risk. So the real danger, what is the real danger here, and how can European countries and the US intelligence program on which I was trained a few years ago. Now we have a new term, what is called information assurance. They don't use information security or cyber security. I have 32 slides to finish very quickly, and it's available, and there is support material available for you. First, I want to discuss about the breaches that happened to Egypt, and then I will compare it to elsewhere. I talked with Dr. Sharif about the cost of data breaches. This we have the opportunity that hackers might make use of. They damage the reputation. This is the main objective, and Dr. Sharif explained everything in this regard, and I don't want to delve into the details of that. What are the incidents that happened in Egypt which were very concerning? Last year, Karim company was attacked, and 40 million personal accounts were hacked. How many of you use Karim and Uber? Now you know your data is breached or hacked. What are the data you fed the system with? Credit card. So I can use your credit card details to steal your money. And Interpol asked me to go to South Africa to get a training. You know this POS machine, and then Verifone attended the meeting. Verifone head attended the meeting with us in order to check. I found the encryption ship that sends the information to Russia in order to get the name, put it into a credit card, and then send it back. We spent 6 months to trace that, and then we arrested 6 people in Russia, Guinea. 20 million was the loss. And I think the real loss is beyond the 300 million. Are you ready for that? Do you like to have that happening to you, or you want your bank to protect your information in a certain way? So, what are the bank's approach in Egypt? Do you know? Can you give me an example? Dr. Sharif told us that credit card details was changed twice because the bank is making sure the data is saved. Yeah, but he has to pay for it, so it's on my pocket money. So data, whether in banks, defense ministry, can be breached and hacked. We know a small part of the story. We don't know everything. We try our best to secure the data and the society as a whole. And no matter what we do, we cannot secure everything 100%. The second incident we can refer to here in March 2018, Egypt was the most vulnerable to cyber attacks. Do you know the economic loss in Egypt? No one knows why. Because we don't have devices to measure the actual economic loss. What is the legislation here, the strategy, and the pieces of legislations are not enough to track and measure that. I need to plan for a better strategy. I need to hire highly skilled people, and we don't have enough of this human caliber. 30 years ago, I lived in the UK and I studied in the US. I was trained on the NSA on certain programs, and these programs are available online. I'm not saying I'm the expert here, but I had good opportunity to learn more. 61% of the companies in Egypt do not enjoy any data security. And the economic loss is 3.79 US dollars annually. This is the public figure, 3.79 million dollars. So if you convert it to Egyptian pounds, this makes a lot, really a lot. This is the ranking of Verizon company to discuss the different types of hacking. We have hacking, malware, physical, social, unknown, external, availability, confidentiality, so on and so forth. This is what happens in Egypt on an annual basis. And this is what's announced internationally. This is the public things announced for the whole world. Here we have the heat map in order to detect the strengths and the weaknesses in real time. You can access this online. I took a snap shot and the numbers here. So this is an acronym for vulnerability, and this is in millions. Dr. Sharif referred to the DDoS attack, Russia and Estonia. Do you know about the incident when Russia closed all the energy resources in Estonia for 48 hours till Estonia could bring down the prices of oil given to Russia? We had an incident between Russia and Estonia and another incident between Russia and Ukraine. And then after signing the agreement, all the energy and the power services were restored, and they lost a lot, whether when it comes to economy or reputation. In Because we have technology and we have a strong private sector, we think that we're good, we're doing well in Egypt. But we have what we call as is and to be. So here I'm referring to the current situation, and I need to analyze all the gaps, and then I need to measure the benefits to set a strategy in order to achieve the desired situation, what to do, where to invest, so on. And then I have to set the business case to be approved. This is the process to be followed here. This is the model for planning. Dr. Sharif mentioned something about the NATO. The institute I am a founder of is specialized in enterprise security. And the US Defense Ministry and the NATO depends on our work. We told them security is based on seven pillars. All the pillars include responsibility, ownership, and so on. Here we have contextual, conceptual, legal, physical component. Who's responsible for the component security? Everyone. Where's the cell phone I passed? This records all the dialogues, and these dialogues can be sent to Israel now while we are talking. And one of the devices used in the Emirates, the US intelligence used a similar version in the Gulf. Israel uses a similar device or the very same device with three SIMs, and GRPS helps to send this data to an international market. So it's already sent now. Now I am outside the communication. We have data sent from here to the US, sorry, to Israel intelligence. Why this happens? Because the vision is myopic. The vision is very limited and narrow-minded. We need to take into consideration seven elements that would be divided into logical, physical component. And Dr. Sharif referred to logical, physical component. We need to use something physical in order to breach the data. So all this was covered. Here we refer to assets, mechanisms, the human interface, the ICT structure, the merger, the development, everything. All this can be summarized in physical. If I move now to the logical, does the MCIT or any other minister have a list of all the assets available? I sat with the National Security Agency in KSA, and I'm giving you real names and real places. And he told me, I don't know anything. I'll meet His Royalness, and please write me a blueprint in order for me to be aware. And then Mohammed Al Askar, who's the IT manager, and then I asked him, what do you know about cybersecurity? And he told me nothing. I spent 7 months working there, developing policies and strategies. Do we have something similar here? Yes, some pieces are there, but not everything. And the MCIT needs more resources in order to address the gaps. The technology is there. There was the Templar or the Sant movie 2 weeks ago. They started a data center, and then they sprinkled a certain material in order for the floor to be slippery, and then an earthquake started. Data center should be equipped with a key, and then all the keys should be merged in one key. And if I want to preach that, I need to be physically in this data center, otherwise I cannot do so. So it's more difficult and complicated than you can imagine. As for the components, we have 68 subcomponents. We have 1,000 technologies. We have 1,500 companies applying this. Do I have enough budget to bring the 68 and the 1,000 companies in order to implement and test, to have first a development last and then a testing lab? Because we cannot do so because we're governed by the budget. Dr. Sharif said something very important. As a government or as a public sector company, I don't have enough budget and everything requires money. But the most important thing is to raise the awareness of cybersecurity. If I'm responsible for that component, then I need to make the resources, the skill set, and the budget available, even if I plan that to be implemented in 5 years, not 1 year. Here, when it comes to digital framework for service management, according to the SAPS Institute, you can go to the website, you can find my picture that was posted 3 months ago. I need to discuss the conceptual, the physical, the component, and then I need to decide how to manage that and what is the cost of this management on a monthly basis in order to be able to estimate the annual budget relevant to developing the design framework. They started the NAF framework. I developed this framework. I need to trace for completeness. This is not there as part of the project management. Cybersecurity is more. It has project management, has implementation, planning, design, development, multiple skills and talent that need to be incorporated. The opposite is justification. Why I'm spending too much money in this regard and what is required. I need to have a very well defined set of criteria. What are the solutions available? This is the slide, and because of time constraint I need to go very very fast now. What are the components of the data centers that need to be secured? Everything mentioned in this slide. Each element has its own security solution. There is no one size fits all, and we cannot reach 80% or even 75%. Security components, I said 86, and they can be summarized in this: people, process, technologies. Now I need to train and develop the capacities of the people, and I can divide that into three parts. How many people use laptop? I use it. Dr. Sharif use it. Other people use it in Starbucks or any other cafe. Is the public Wi-Fi accessed by everyone? Is data? If you go to London, you have USB CAM device. It's for £40. It serves as a gateway, and then everyone will authenticate it, and all the data you send it can be recorded and intercepted for only 40 sterling pounds. Now, cyber resilience. I haven't heard a word in Egypt about cyber resilience in the past 3 years. What is meant by that term? What if the solution breaks down? How much time do I need in order to restore it? And what about the data lost? And what about the requirements to reoperate the data? And what kind of the data? IB used $1 billion in a short time because they does not have cyber resilience. What happened in Egypt in 1 year or in the last 6 months? Does anyone know? This is how safe you are. What are the relationships to be developed internationally? I list all the agencies I work with in the US. R&D is very important. Here I listed all the elements that should be covered in R&D. Is that available in Egypt? Can a single entity tell me that they're working on that? I don't think so. Three quick recommendations. If you are a C-level manager, CEO, CFO, chairperson, you need to follow these 6 steps. If you don't have enough experience, please hire this experience. If you need to work on the strategic approach, then I identified 8 steps to be followed on the strategic level. Now we have continuous monitoring capability. Do we have that in Egypt only or in one project? I need to plan, design, develop, provide the infrastructure, and then operate. I am here focusing on continuous monitoring capacity. MCIT can work on that. Maybe a sovereign entity or a security entity. KSA started that, and I worked on this project in SESCO. We developed 107 racks to aggregate data on a daily, monthly, or annually basis, and then this data is sent and analyzed, and then we analyze the malware forensics in order to develop the KSA firmware. And this is the main idea why KSA was attacked in 2016. Any questions here? Thank you so much. You discussed much important pieces of information. I need to take a picture with this important device.
You have said, what you have said is very important and very critical about the amount of cybersecurity along with the cybersecurity in the two presentations, but it's very risky. We don't have the architecture. We don't have it's something beyond the capability of the Ministry of Investment, and we need a lot of resources, and we need to have a vision, and our concept of the traceability and monitoring capabilities, cyber resilience. All of this is very important.